Welcome back everyone to a nooner video. I know you're getting tired of me explaining what a nooner is. Just give me a few more weeks at it. A nooner is where I just do a small video trying to get the comment section hopping. Hear from you guys, see what you guys have to say about a certain topic, and just kind of have a little bit of fun. So today we're going to talk about retail stores that's no longer around anymore. And I'm curious of where you guys bought your toys or even clothes or whatever, music, books back in the 80s or 70s or hell, even the 90s. I've talked about them before. Anyone that watches my video has heard me talk about Zayre's. Zayre's, I love the store. What is Zayre's if you don't know? I guess it's kind of like a Walmart. It doesn't have groceries now. And I remember when Walmart didn't have groceries. You remember Walmart when it was just a department store? And then every once in a while, maybe one in the whole state would have a grocery section. They would call it a super Walmart, and it was exciting. You're like, well, what? There's a Walmart with a grocery store inside? It was shocking. But back to Zayre's, it was like a Kmart. You know, Kmart didn't have groceries either. So it was like a Walmart or Kroger or Zayre's or something. Kroger. Why did I say Kroger? It's like a Walmart or Kmart. I would say it's probably closer to Kmart. And I can remember walking in that store still in my head of where the Star Wars figures were on the original Star Wars card. And of course, I've talked, we didn't have a Walmart growing up. I don't think I went into a Walmart until the 90s. Or at the very most probably late 80s. It's probably more like it. Late 80s. But growing up, when I was into my really toy stage as a kid, playing with toys, not collecting, didn't really have a Walmart. Now, we had a right on the tail end, we have a TJ&Y, which was like a Kmart, and that quickly was only there a couple of months, maybe a year, and it went over to Ames, A-M-E-S, and then it lasted almost probably less than a year, and it switched over to a Walmart, one of the first Walmarts I remember going to, at least one of the first ones in my town. Then I remember going to the mall. If you wanted a book, where would you go? B. Dalton or Walden's. They were about the same, but you had one at least for my mall, you had one at one end of the mall, one at the other. Oh, I loved going to B. Dalton's or Walden Books. It's weird. I've always loved bookstores, but I never really liked to read. Isn't that odd? And so I would go into these, look at the magazine section, look at a Starlog magazine, a Fangora, go back to the kids section. When I was younger, I remember getting a Star Wars pop-up book and sitting. They had little stools out there. You could sit and read the little pop-up books and everything. I love playing with the Star Wars pop-up books and just getting any kind of kid books, mostly Star Wars kid books and stuff. I can remember a Fraggle Rock book they had there that I wanted really bad. No one would ever buy it for me. I didn't have a job. I was like 11 years old. And I would walk back there and look at that Fraggle Rock. And I can remember getting a little older, in my early teens, probably mid-teens, and going into the bookstore at the mall, either Walden's or B. Dalton, both of them, of course, if I was at the mall, going to the video game section. Now, this was the days before you could look up how to solve a game on the internet. And I can remember looking at strategy guides or just books. I remember a big, thick Mario book. Went through the whole Mario, whatever the latest game was. I think it was Mario World or something. Shows you all the tricks, shows you where hidden stuff was. And I remember I would go in there and try to, I didn't have a phone. I couldn't take a picture of it. I didn't want to buy it. So I would go try to read things to do on it. Try to remember it until I got back home. Another good place to go to was record stores. Of course, at the mall, you had Record Bar, and Camelot was the two we had at our store. Back then they had record. Remember back then they had cassette tapes, but some stores, I think Kmart had them. They were in like a glass case, where like a plexiglass, really not glass, and they had holes in them, and you would have to put your hand in the hole. Man, if somebody don't know what I'm talking about, you younger kids, y'all are probably thinking this is strange, but you would put your hand in the hole, and the cassette tape would be in this big tray, and you could pull it out. Look, you couldn't pull it through the hole to take it. You could pull out this cassette, look and see what the tracks were on it, put it back. Then you have to go track down someone there to get a key and open the door for you. Weird times. But I can remember go to Camelot, Record Bar. I got some vinyl when I was little, of course, but when I got into music, when I was buying my own music, my own money, most of it was on cassette tapes. And then, of course, the late 80s, very early 90s, I got into CD players. I got into CDs where I was like, man, I got cassettes, man. I'm not rebuying all this stuff again. But don't that seem how it goes? I bought all these on cassette, now I had to buy them all on CD, and then I bought all these movies on VHS, and now I had to buy them on DVD. They want me to buy them on Blu-ray, then they want me to buy them digitally. I was like, oh, I'm done with it. I am done with it. But we had a lot of stores like that. Again, my go-to toy stores was probably... Now, I didn't have a Toys R Us growing up either until maybe the mid-'80s. Again, when I was really into toys, I would have killed for a Toys R Us. I used to see commercials or hear about them, but I never went in one until probably mid-'80s. I guess my go-to toy store at that time was KB Toys, like a lot of you probably agree with. I remember another mall that was probably an hour or so away had one called Child's Place or Children's Place. I can't remember. What I do remember is they had this big hole in the front. And they had the main door where the customers would walk through, but then they had this little hole where you could crawl through. Now, no adults were, but nowadays probably adults going through it. But I remember the kids would go through the hole. And I remember KB always had these battery operated dogs that would bark and they would flip over. Remember those? They were always out there at KB. But I remember KB, of course, we had Toy Liquidator in the 90s, was a shoot off of KB. Clothes stores. I remember there was some clothes stores I went to. There was one called Gadzooks. My buddy Russ always says I say it wrong, so I hope I said it right that time. This was kind of like a hipster Spencer's gift shop. Spencer's, ain't that a weird store? Where you can go in, you can buy a baby rattle for your baby, you can buy a nasty t-shirt for your teen, or you can buy a big 12-inch dildo. How's that store legal? It just seems like an odd store where you can buy stuff for any age, sexual stuff and kid stuff all in one store. It's crazy. But Gadzooks they had a lot of weird, really cool t-shirts. I remember they had one that had a bird on it. It was a finch, and it said, "Finch, better bring me back my money," and the bird was dressed like a pimp. Always wanted that shirt. Never did get it. They did have one called Jurassic Dork. It was a picture of the Jurassic Park logo, kind of, but it had Barney on it. I made a copy of that and sold it on my website. Then Universal pulled it. And I was like, hey, that's not a Universal thing to pull. That's a parody shirt. See if there's any other stores I can think of. There's a County Seat was where I bought some clothes. Bugle Boys outlet store, the outlet mall. I used to get my Bugle Boy pants there. Don't laugh. Yes, I used to wear a Bugle Boys. They would say, "Excuse me, is that Bugle Boy jeans you're wearing?" And I'd say, yes. Yes, it is. But let me know some places you shopped at. Maybe some places it's gone. I mean, don't tell me about Walmart and Target. Speaking of Target, I never had a Target. The first Target I known was a Super Target, probably in Atlanta. But I knew another Target probably about another 2 hours south. Never even heard of Target until the 90s, and I could not wait till we got one. Anyway, I love Target. Sadly, the one in town is closed down, and the closest one's probably about 20 miles away. But I'm rambling. This video's going on too long. It's just a nooner video. It's a short video. Let me know some places where you shop for clothes, music, books, toys, whatever that's gone that you really like. Oh, man, I really loved going to that place. Let me know. We can be local or chain. Let me know. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.